Hi everyone, my name is ElectroDonkey and today we're back on the Python series. So what I've done to start off with is made another script, option2.py, and imported it here. If you don't understand what I've done there, just refer back to the second video, I believe it is. We're just going to quickly change here this. So we're making a new script in this video. So what we need to do here as well is we need to define the main, which again is covered in the first series video, and we're going to do something today called string manipulation, and something that's quite common in Python, mainly because everything revolves around the console. So anything is just either text majority of the time, or sometimes it is a GUI, but most of the time we use text, and most of the time that is just strings, integers, floats. So we're going to do a bit of strings in this video. So the first thing, we're going to ask the user to input a string, and we're going to hold it in a variable called string. Funnily enough, in Python, string isn't a built-in thing, so we can just do that. Ask the user for a string. And this should be relatively straightforward still. If we save this now, option2 has no main. It clearly does. But anyway, so we've set our string equal to our input. Please input a string. If this is new to you, you probably need to refer back to another video, but this should be relatively simple. So what we're going to do is a few various different things. So the first thing we're going to do is just do a for loop. Range, I believe we did these before, so I'm not gonna. We did not do for loops then. No, we didn't. Okay, we'll do for loops then quickly. Cover them. So it's the same as in GameMaker, apart from the fact that in GameMaker you might say for I equals 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. This is basically doing the same thing. So we're saying for, and we're then saying that I is our iterator. So in this case, I starts at 0, it's I less than 5, and I increments each time. And that's what this means. To do 1 and 5, or 0 and 5, we just put 5 here. This automatically presumes that we're going from 0 to 5. So 0 to 5. And it automatically adds 1 each time. So this is a much easier way of doing this, in my opinion, anyway, and this is how we do them in Python. So we're going to delete this. Of course, we don't want 5 because we want it to depend on our string, and there's a handy little tool we can use called len, and this measures the length of the string. So for the most part, this will be, say we enter a string and it's hello, then len string is obviously going to be 5, so it's going to loop 5 times. And the beauty of this is we can now call this iterator, or I, which is going up each time in the string. So if we do print and then call the string and then we use this, so it's very much like we're using a DS grid, or we're using an array, or in Python a list. So it's kind of converting our string into a list almost, and this gives us each character, each letter in that string. Because we're using I, it loops through every time. If we were to just do 0, then that would be the very first letter in that string. So if we go back over to here and we run this, and we choose option 2, we're told to input a string. If we put in hello, like I said, then it's going to split it all up and output us back line by line. So what we could do here is say if string I equals E, then we print it. So this would find every single E. we need to run this one. I'm not sure why that's underlined either. So we put option 2 and put hello, then it will just print E. Oops. Because it's just found the E. So you can see where that would the practical use of that would come into play. So we're going to leave that there for the moment, just like that. We're going to do one other thing, which isn't probably the simplest thing, but it's something that I find I use a lot. So we'll give it a go, I think. And it's going to be mapping. I always forget the mapping, so we'll have to see how we go. So we're going to call it string list equals map list string. This might work. If it does, I will go back and explain this, but it normally takes me a while to get the mapping correct. Try that. Perhaps it works. There's a chance. If not, I'll yeah, okay. I'll check one of my other files, just because this is something that I very regularly forget. The mapping, the join is the other way. Well, for the time being, we'll do it a different way. It works exactly the same, and this is where I think Python's quite good, because you can kind of come up with many different ways of doing the same thing, and that's something that in GameMaker you can't do as much. They're a bit more limited. So we could have done the whole mapping method, and I'm not entirely sure that map is the right one that I'm thinking of in my head. But anyway, what we can do instead is make an empty list like this, and then here, when we print it, just add on to the end. So string list dot append. We did this in one of the other videos. String I, and this is going to split up every single character within the string and add it onto our list one by one. And this means that we can call them individually. So if we were to print the string list at the end, like that, it'll show a list instead of a string. We can do lots more with lists in general. So if we put in hello again, like that, there you go. You can see it is now a list. And whilst we're on the topic of lists, let's just do one more thing, because I think they're quite interesting. Let's put the list back together. So if we've got a list, we've converted our string into a list. Now can we convert the string back into a list, the list back into a string? Because of course that's quite important. What we're going to do is, and this is a really weird way of doing it, I think. It's not something in my mind that works great. But we're going to do an empty set of whatever, speech marks, and then we're going to join. I think it might be split that we want as well. I'll give that a go in a minute. So we're going to join, and then the list that we're putting back together. So what this does is it takes every value within that list and joins it with an empty space. So it will join them straight together. If we were to put a space here, then it would put a space in between them, but because we want it as all one word, we don't want spaces. So if we put in on this one, option 2, hello, and there you go. It's split them one by one, then put it into the list, and then put the list back into the string. So that's pretty cool, I think. I'm just going to try the other one too. Equals, we need to put this underneath as well. Just here. Dot split, and it'll be string dot split. Maybe. I'm not sure. I've forgotten this. Anyway, we'll give it a go and see. This is mostly how you would create a program. Also, you'd probably search it up first. So, hello. It's good enough. If we ran that now, it's basically it's put it in, but it's not split it up properly. So it's not ideal, but it's done the job, kind of. So you can see, if we just ignore that bit that I've just done there because that didn't work, I'll find the proper way of doing that and do it for the next video. But you can see we've took our string, split it up, added it into a list, and then put it back together at the end. And yeah, that's kind of how we can use strings and lists. And if you know how to map it to a list, then we don't have to bother with like string manipulation particularly. We can just focus on list manipulation, and that can be used for a lot more things, I think. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you like the video, remember to like, subscribe, what else do you guys want to do, and I'll talk to you in the next one.